Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother 25 Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and this is, of course, the podcast where we talk about everything from the feeds for the week that we are talking about, which is this week.
Wow.
We also rate
Very
the players
well
from 1 to
said.
10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. We're also, we're very good.
I believe in our goodness.
I agree, Kaisem. With me to talk about everything going on this week is Chantele. How you doing, Chantele?
I'm doing very well, right? Very well, right? I'm happy to be here. The gang is back together. I haven't podcasted the three of us in probably a year, which is kind of wild. And so I'm just excited to see what shenanigans we get into tonight. So happy to be here.
Yes. Also with us, the person that never gaslights anybody.
I'm not trying to gaslight you, right?
Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I never do that. I'm doing an exciting week in the house once again. I feel like every day things are changing. I mean, every minute things are changing, obviously, but in terms of what I want to rate the house guests, I feel like if you had asked me yesterday, I would have had a totally different score for each of them than asking me today. So yeah, everything is all over the place here. So I am very excited to talk through everything.
All right. Well, there is a lot to talk about. This is we try to give a good summary of the week here on the roundtable. Obviously, the updates are the best place to get the information that you want, but there's still going to be a lot of information that if you don't listen to the updates, you're still going to miss out from just the episodes. And so we try to give some good recap of what goes on during the week here on this podcast. So the last time we had a roundtable, Riley was still in the house.
Who? I like Riley. I'm just kidding.
And in fact, not only was Riley in the house, but it was looking like she might stay the last time we had a roundtable.
Right.
Which is pretty wild. That changed a couple hours after the podcast ended. Riley ended up leaving. Hisam was the big target. Felicia won the HOH. Her plan went very smoothly, even if the plan continued to change over and over. She nominated Jag and Cameron for eviction. Jag won the veto, took himself off the block, and they nominated Hisam. They backdoored him. They blindsided him. And Hisam is now the main target here heading into Thursday. That's the basics of what's happening.
Yeah. And that's all that happened. Nothing else. It was just very smooth, very
simple,
streamlined. They had a plan, they stuck to it, and now we're moving on. Nothing to speak about.
I mean, we can skip over the 15 other targets they cycled through. But the other main things going on here is that Cirie, Izzy, and Felicia are now theoretically at the core of the game once again, because despite the fact that they have ditched Hisam, they used that the ditching of Hisam to create a new structure in the game. They created an alliance with Jag, Blue, and Matt that they initially called Savage 7 and now are calling the 7 Deadly Sins. In fact, roughly 10 minutes ago, they were discussing this very thing. Felicia is not a fan of the name. She doesn't like being a sin, but they overrode her objections. They are officially the 7 Deadly Sins. And on the other side of things, they still have the remnants of the professors, which they're not even bothering to really maintain. But Red and Cameron still think that they're a part of it for no good reason. They also, of course, have the Bye Bye Bitches. They have the Brown Sugar Babes. They have the Crossroads, which means they are covered from virtually every angle. The one exception being America, who is trying to run around and gather some troops to go up against Cirie and her crew. but literally every person she talks to is just ratting her right out to crew, and thus they are now trying to make her seem like she's out of her mind and wild card and will need to go very soon.
I kind of feel like America is like an intern reporter that has the story and the scoop, and she's going up against like some big company, and like nobody believes her. And so this is what I feel like. She's like speaking to people, and like she has the information, she has the facts, and they're just like, yeah, no. You're not.
And Corey is like the whistleblower that can't officially state anything on the record, but is trying to warn her that like there's a hit that's been placed on her to like, silence her, but she doesn't believe him. She's like, no, it's fine.
It's kind of hard to watch because it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things where you get your hopes up and then your hopes are like dashed every 2 seconds, where it's like, not just with America, but with others too. It's like, you've got Matt and Jag talking late at night last night, and you're like, okay, they're putting the pieces together. They've got this. They understand what to do. And then I feel like the next day, Matt is like, Jag's paranoid. Heisem's telling us like all this stuff. Like nobody knows what's going on, and going straight back to Suri and Felicia and all them. And then Jag's all like, I just don't know what's going on anymore. I'm so lost. And it's like, I feel like they had the pieces. They could have, I thought they were putting it together. I mean, when they said like, hey, if Suri and Felicia and Izzy could do this to Heisem, who thought he was working with them, they could do the exact same thing to us. And then they literally 2 seconds later would be like, yeah, but we're the real alliance. Like not us though. Like a theoretical us they could do this to, but not us. Like they're not going to do this to us. And it's like, oh my God, you were so close. You had it. Like, it was just that you had to take one more step to like kind of figure out what was going on. And it was like, you know, and then you've got America and Matt or whoever talking about how like Jared, they think Jared might be kind of going back and forth. And they're like, yeah, but like not with us. It's like, it's just, nobody is just taking that next step to put the pieces together. And it's just so hard. It's hard to watch sometimes because you're like, yes, no. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be hard to watch because it really is just a lot of people running around just completely snowed by Suri and company, who despite all messiness still have a firm grasp of the game and will not let it come up for air. So that's going on there. Heading into next week, the battle has become one of Cameron and Red versus Jag and Blue. That is how like Suri has essentially set it up. And I say Suri, but it's like the whole group, including Corey himself, who is hoping that Red and Cam win that battle. Corey has been trying to convince Suri and the rest of that group that Jag should be the first target. Obviously, he feels insecure about the fact that the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance has been created, which he does know about, and has been trying to undermine as much as possible. But despite his conversations with Jag, he clearly wasn't finding any way in. So he's given up on that and decided maybe targeting Jag is the better way to play. He's trying to grab as many other pieces as possible. He tried to work on Mimi. She still wasn't giving him anything. He's been trying to work on America, but she continues to shoot herself in the foot. He's been trying to pull Cam and Red, and they are the only people that are actually receptive to what he's saying, but they're so ridiculously sloppy that they're shooting themselves in the foot as well, and also can't go anywhere and just continue to get themselves in trouble and continue to get themselves targeted. And so Corey finds himself at a dead end, and his only way through is to cling tight to Suri, Izzy, and Jared in the Crossroads Alliance and pray that they don't decide they'd prefer one of their other options, which is looking a little more and more likely as Jared and Blue get tighter and tighter. And by tighter and tighter, I mean they made out today. Oh, so that's another danger and another indication of where the game might be headed. So there's a lot going on here. Unless Suri
comes in and is like, you looked at me in the eye and you promised me that there was nothing else going on. And if she finds out more has happened, maybe she's gonna be like, okay, it's time to get the distraction out of the house, and maybe does a little snip of Blue.
I could absolutely see that happening too, especially if Jared lets her know that, or if Blue indicates, hey, Jared told me that he has some sort of secret. I don't know if that'll ever come up again because it feels like Blue just doesn't care about the secret. But like, if that ever gets insinuated or said to anybody else, like, hey, Jared told me he has a secret. And if that gets back around to Cirie, you know that Cirie's going to cut Blue and just be like, we cannot let this out. Jared, you can't say anything. Like, that's it. It's over, you know? And so I'm kind of like hoping for that. Or
it's kind of fun. It's like mom's gonna like really reprimand him.
I want when he was giving away the secret stuff, I was like, this is such a bad move, such a bad move. But I was like, I'm kind of glad he's doing it because I kind of want Blue to like go and tell someone or figure it out. But she just like doesn't care about it. At least as far as I can tell, unless in her own mind she's like cooking with it. But, you know, I haven't seen any indication.
Well, I don't think she thinks it's relevant to the game. And at this point, I think she has transferred all of her loyalty from Jag to Blue, or from Jag to Jared. And so even if he did tell her, I don't think she would say anything. You know, it would matter for the end game if she were a capable enough player. But I'm not sure that I even have that much faith in that either. So honestly, even if we do get Jared telling her the secret, I'm not sure it's going to blow up in the way that most people would like it to. I think it's just going to be another situation of, okay, this locks Blue in to the end game with them and sort of pushes people like Corey and maybe even Matt or whoever else is trying to get into that spot further back. Yeah. I think that you know, the house is taking shape, but of course, Izzy, Cirie, they don't love to keep the shapes for very long. So we will see what happens with all of that.
Yeah, I was thinking, so everybody is saying, you know, that Cirie plays as if it's Survivor time, and that totally tracks, especially with the whole blindside thing. I feel like this is in Survivor, when you blindside someone, you like usually are blindsiding them at tribal council and they leave, versus you're blindsiding them at a veto ceremony and then they stick around and you have to have like a fallout of that blindside. I feel like this is new territory for Cirie, and it's interesting to see, you know, how she handles this type of blindside. And I feel like I don't think that they really thought through. I mean, it doesn't seem to be like hurting anyone that much. You know, it doesn't seem like Hisam's doing that much damage, but I do feel like they didn't quite think through like, okay, what's going to happen when we blindside our ally at this, you know, veto meeting? It's not a great move. I mean, I don't think that they made a great move this week. I think because the rest of the house is just trying to get in with them, like they're probably going to get through it unscathed. But I think overall, this was such poor play this week. I think that they should not have, number one, they should not have blindsided Hisam and put him up as the replacement nominee. But I also think that they shouldn't have put him up and tried to get him out at all. I think that's such a bad move. He was totally loyal to them. Yeah, maybe he's like annoying to them, but he was totally loyal and he can win competitions. Now the house is totally screwed up and everybody is like every time they're talking about alliances, they have to be like, sorry, remind me of which 7 this is, or like remind me of the 6, remind me of this. And they have to like go through each number because there's so many pairings. And yes, that does kind of put put Felicia and Izzy and Cirie in like a decent spot because they're kind of the nexus, and all these different alliances involve them. But I just feel like it complicates things so much when they could have just had. And look, it's great for us because this complexity is very fun and it's so fluid and, you know, there's things changing every day. It makes for fun feeds, but it would have been a lot easier if they just stuck with their professors thing, had Hisam win a bunch of comps, and then they have that shield out in front of them who's loyal to them. And then they just march to the end, taking everybody else out. Obviously,
Are you looking for boring feeds? Is that
that's
what
the thing.
you're
Is
missing?
obviously
Boring
we
feeds?
don't like that, but I think objectively, I think that they made a bad move this week. I really do.
Do you think that it would have been better, like the better move if they had kept Riley, or do you think out of the two, if you're just choosing between these two options?
I don't think that they should have kept Riley, but I do think that they should definitely not blindside Heisem. Like, I think that that's just such a bad move. It doesn't make any sense. I think they could have kept Riley and still been fine. I think they kept Cameron and they are fine. But I think that this is where it's getting sloppy and messy with someone in their own alliance. It just doesn't make any sense. So now basically every alliance that was last week that we talked about is now the whole house knows. No, it doesn't matter. That all of last week's conversation is totally irrelevant because now we have a new structure and it's just going to be new every single week. And instead of keeping, a solid, large alliance who can win comps and take out the other side, which is a tried and true strategy, they've decided, screw that. I'm just going to, make 10 new alliances today and blindside our ally.
Well, the question becomes, right? Because I don't disagree with you. I had the same perspective in terms of like, I see the path with Heisem as their battering ram and shield. I see the path here where they move forward using that. They could take out, Jag this week or maybe Cameron and keep Heisem around as, maybe he wins next week and so on and so forth. But despite the messiness of taking out Heisem, I would argue that Cirie's position is actually even better at the end of this week than it was at the start of the week or even last week. Because now, without Riley and with Heisem on the way out, she now doesn't need to take the shot at Jag, Blue, or Matt. She's pulled them in, and she's doing really good work on Matt. Blue is getting sucked in by Jared. And in the meantime, she's able to snip off some of the more dangerous outside players like America, who's smart enough to realize that she's good at the game, and somebody like Cameron, who is actively thinking about wanting to take a shot at Cirie with numbers that he can build with players like Red and America, who are now all the biggest targets. And so somehow she's gotten into a situation where she's aligned with everybody, and the only people even thinking about her at all are all the consensus house targets. And even somebody like Corey, who is working closely with her, but would have loved to have built his own kind of thing long term to maybe take a shot deep into the game, is quickly finding himself running out of options and cornered into being forced to have to work with her. And it's like, how did we go from this really messy move that we would every day of the week say was a terrible decision and might still be, to an even better, even more crushing spot? And I think the answer is Cirie. I think that it's that she is that good at the other stuff, at talking to people, getting them to trust her. When Matt and Jag are talking last night about the fact that Cirie, Izzy, and Felicia are at the core of the house and they have everyone, they're like, okay, but who do we trust the most? Cirie. It's just like, why? Like, what is she putting in your drinks? Like, I don't understand. But she does. She has it, and they're, America's trying to spell it out to Jag. They're trying to make something happen, but despite all of it, Cirie remains in the center of everything, and people, even the people that would want to do something, are all terrified to say a word. And that's, I think, what we have to like try to contend with in this podcast is Cirie did something that feels like it's a bad move, and yet has advanced her position in the game to a pretty dramatic degree. And so, like, how do we reconcile that? How do we
It's
get
hard.
from point A to B?
Yeah, it's hard, and it's especially hard for like ratings purposes, because it's like I think that she made a bad move this week. However, like you said, is ending up in a good spot because of like social game, or because of like the people around her. Like it's hard to determine like what exactly it is that's making it this way. But like even when people are talking in the house about you know, well, I don't know if we can trust them or whatever, it's always like, well, we can trust Suri, but like Izzy, I think Izzy might be the problem. Like everyone, it's never okay, Suri is the problem. It's always like, well, I want to work with Suri. Like I want to get in with Suri. Which is like wild, because you know, I don't know why I guess like Izzy is like front and center, and she's always coming in hot or whatever. So like obviously you're gonna look to Izzy as like, oh, she's kind of out there, she's kind of wild, I don't know if I can trust her, versus Suri, who's so calming and so reassuring every time you talk to her, and can kind of like get out of problems. Like if you go to confront her about something, by the end, she will make you think, oh no, this whole thing was not what you thought. It's totally not what it was. And so, even if it absolutely was, she just has that way about her. I don't know.
I think what I'm just trying to figure out right now, so I don't know if it's actually what I even believe, but what it seems is like she thrives in the chaos of it all. So it's kind of like she's making a big mess, but then she still end up being this calming presence, like you've said, that people want to come talk to, and they feel safety with her. And I think that that might be what her charm is that what people feel safe amongst the chaos when they're kind of clutched along with Suri, when they're trading information. She's a really good listener, and you feel like she's hearing you and she's understanding you. And she's just able to build that rapport and is that sense of calm in this whole, like this disruption of the house. And so I'm wondering if that's why she causes this chaos, is so that she's allowed to be like the refuge to these people that need her when everything's kind of disarray. So that's my
Are you
first
saying
instinct.
that she might say something like, chaos is a ladder?
Oh no. But I totally agree, because I even noticed in conversations, she always finds a way to make it seem like she's in the same boat as you too. Like it's like she causes all this stuff over here, but then when she's talking to Matt or whatever, she's like, look, I don't know like how this happened, but I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know who to trust. I just want to work with you, whatever. And Matt's like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm in the exact same spot. Like after the Riley thing, I didn't know what was happening. She's like, same. So it's like she's able to make you believe like, oh, okay, like we're in this together. Like, you know, yeah, it's us. And that's, I think, very special, because that's how you reassure people that, you know, you're not part of the problem, and that they don't need to worry about you because you're with them and you're in this together. And so I think that's pretty, I mean, it's really impressive.
Nobody's ever had a conversation in that house with Suri and come out not feeling good.
Yeah.
Never once. And I think that's a huge part of the success that she's having. When Suri has a read on somebody, she suggests something, they believe it. When Suri tells somebody that she feels good about them, they believe it. Nobody questions whether nobody has questioned once, is Suri telling me the truth? Is Suri lying to me? If they do question what's coming from Suri's side, they'll question Izzy. They won't question Suri, which is ridiculous on the face of it. And yet they don't question it. Even Corey, who recognizes that Suri is very good at this, has never doubted anything that Suri has told him, because he believes that he's in with Suri, and he's right. He's right to believe her because she's not lying to him. But at some point she's going to, and he knows it. And the question is, will he recognize it, right? Especially when she's laying a foundation of having been truthful with him. And so it's very, I've been talking about this a lot this week, but I really feel like there are a lot of like strategy heads in the audience, and I understand, who are like, she's so messy. It doesn't make sense. On paper, she is making the wrong moves over and over. On paper, she is making unforced errors over and over. That must mean she is a bad player. And yet, when you look at the results, not even just in this season, because in this season you might say it's early. It's a couple weeks. Her allies have been winning. You know, we would, under normal circumstances, definitely still have some healthy skepticism, and I honestly still do. But she does also have this history, many seasons of other shows where she has clearly behaved somewhat similarly. I think we've gotten tastes of it in almost all of the seasons that she's been on, even the Traders. Remember how convinced she was that Cody was working some other angle? He wasn't, but her paranoia about it crippled Cody's game in the Traders, to the point where she was able to take him out and get a sole win. And so there's clearly something about this that works. And I think that trying to determine what that is sort of like the theme of at least this early portion of the season, because she really does, as I said, have such a stranglehold over the game right now. Can she keep that up, especially when she is being this messy? I don't know, but she's certainly done a good job so far.
Like, even me, I'm thinking, I'm like, I know her game. And I'm like, if I was in the house, I'm like, I believe her. Like, I'd work with her. I probably wouldn't try to get her out. I'll be like, no, she wouldn't do that to me. So I'm charmed even, and I know her game. And so, yeah, I can't imagine being young, unfamiliar with these types of games and like the intense stress that it's going to be. And then not want to side with her or like believe her or work with her. Like, yeah, it's going to be very challenging for these house guests.
Yeah. I said this morning that, you know, when we try to analyze the game, we often look at like, you know, the alliance charts, and we look at like where people are positioned. And I think positional strategy is very valuable. And like basics of strategy is also very valuable. Don't intentionally alienate people for no reason. Don't be wishy-washy for no reason. And then make the moves that put you in the best strategic position. But, you know, it's easy to forget that people are not chess pieces. They are not just like solely always going to be a certain thing or feel a certain way. And I think the strength of Cirie's game so far has been that when she takes, you know, a piece on the chessboard and makes an illegal move with it, or like a really seemingly bad move with it, and you're like, what are you doing, you dummy? That's such a bad move. You look back at the board and it's a different piece all of a sudden, because she's talked it into feeling a different way about itself. And now all of a sudden she's in a crushing position. You're like, hey, you can't do that. That's cheating. And it's like, no, sorry, that's my superpower in this game. That's how it feels watching Cirie play Big Brother so far. It's like she barely has an understanding of how chess works, but she's so good at talking the pieces into doing what she wants them to that it doesn't matter.
It's just really, really, really cool to watch. And I think also part of it is because she doesn't necessarily rely on herself for the comp wins. And so she's kind of put herself in the position that no matter who wins, likely, well, other than the 3 targets, obviously, but like likely she's going to be able to have some sort of power with who they're going to be nominating, and it most likely won't be coming back at her. So I don't know, she's just really a genius in how she plays this game. It's very, very interesting to watch. I really want her to get to the final 3 so you could do like a deep dive of her game. Like that is like,
oh! That's gonna be tough, let me tell you.
I know, but that's like you going through it, like you'll figure something out, which will be really awesome.
Yeah. The other thing I really want to talk about is I've been talking about this proxy war, and I like using these kinds of analogies because I think they're useful to help understand the big picture of what's happening long term in the game. But unfortunately for Corey, it's less a proxy war and more of like a pretend war in Corey's mind, because he's losing it pretty dramatically at the moment. But basically what Corey is trying to do is, again, set up this red and Cam versus Jag and Blue situation where they side with and support Red and Cam, and Jag leaves. And if Jag leaves, that helps destroy the 7 Deadly Sins alliance a bit more, opens up more space for him to get in. also helps prevent America from trusting the wrong people and giving too much information and getting herself into too much trouble, and puts Jared in a position where he's connected to Blue, but maybe not quite as much Matt, and opens Matt up as a solo player. And so that does a lot for him if he can make that happen. He's been trying. He made some progress with Izzy, and Izzy is probably the person he has the most progress with. But the rest of the house is all very convinced that it's got to be Red or Cameron, which really hamstrings his ability to do much, especially since the backup target is likely America at this point. And so, you know, I've talked about a proxy war, but it's a pummeling right now. Jag, Blue, and Matt and the rest of the house are really, really winning it. And Red and Cameron are, and Red, Cameron, and America, I should say, are currently like in the fetal position. They don't know it, but that's kind of the current situation of the proxy war.
What would you think would be the best outcome then for the head of household in order for Corey to enact like what he would ideally want for this week?
Corey desperately needs Cam, maybe Red, maybe America to win. Because if Cam or Red win and he's also able to get them to go after Jag and Blue, that's a huge win for Corey. Now, I think there's a chance that if Cam or Red win, that Suri and the professors get back together and try to convince them to go after other floaters, and like America even, which would be disastrous if they fell for it. And let's be real,
well,
they might fall for it
because Cameron thinks that this was all his bright idea. So I mean, yeah.
So it would be, it might end up being Corey's influence versus theirs, trying to convince them to not do something stupid like target America, but I'm not sure he'll win that battle. America winning would also obviously be good. It would put her in a position to actually get back into the game. However, she trusts Jag way too much, and Corey has been unable to shake that. And so she might also do something that doesn't benefit them, like go after the floaters, or even go after somebody like Red, which would also be very not good for their game. So who does she go at? I mean, he could try to get her to go after like the actual core and put up, say, you know, Suri and Izzy or something like that. But that's actually not beneficial to Corey right now, because Izzy is a great ally for him and, you know, vouches for him a lot. So does Suri at the moment. And it would just leave Jag, Blue, and Matt in a better position. I mean, that would be amazing for Jag, Blue, and Matt. They don't know it right now, but it would be really good for them. So there aren't that many great options. It's still going to be a struggle, I think, regardless of who wins. But I mean, hey, maybe even honestly, Corey winning and putting up Jag and Blue might be a shot here to help demolish that alliance. And then he can rely on Jared to smooth it over with Blue, and then Matt's by himself, and, you know, where is he going to go? And maybe they make something new that actually includes Corey this time. Or better yet, could Corey convince Jared, Izzy, and Suri to pull him into this 7 to make an 8? They actually talked about potentially bringing in an 8th like Mimi earlier today. Decided against it, but they did talk about having Mimi and Corey. If he can get them to include him, that opens up the ability for him to talk game with Jag and Matt, which he desperately needs, in a way that they'd be actually open with him, and he could start playing the middle between them. Right now, he's closed off to them because they have that alliance, and they're never going to tell him, and he can't tell them that he knows. So that would be a better path for him, but that's also difficult, especially depending on who wins HOH. So it's the field is wide open, but again, the war, it's a losing battle, it seems, for Cam and Red at the moment, which puts Corey into a worse position.
Do you believe that the 7 deadly sins is legit?
It's as legit as it needs to be to keep Suri's side safe, right?
I mean, I guess from Suri, Izzy, and Felicia's perspective, like, because I feel like Jag and Matt and Blue, like, they believe it's real, even though they shouldn't. And like, because like earlier, Jag and America were having a conversation, and I was like, yes, like this is great. Like you guys need to work together. You guys need to like share information. And they kept saying to each other, like, are you being real with me? Like, is this real? And they kept being like, yes, this is real. And I was like, this is perfect, because Jag and Matt had that conversation last night. Now America is talking with Jag. America had earlier talked with Matt. Like, this is the information that needs to be shared. And then I feel like Jag forgets that he just had that conversation with America and is now with the 7 deadly sins saying they need to target her. Like, it's not a good idea. It's bad.
Well, how do you think though that Jag would be able to work with America? Like, is it keeping Heisem? Is like that what it is? And like taking the risk that Heisem
just for next week. It's just they were just talking and saying like, look, here's the deal. Like, we can't trust so-and-so. We can't trust so-and-so. Like, this information was shared. Like, don't share information with Blue because she goes straight to, Izzy or whatever. And just like giving each other like the lowdown. And I felt like that's the kind of stuff that needs to be shared with each other so that they can prepare for next week. And then it feels like Jag and Matt, their conversation last night was really good. And then they just like, it poof out of their brains. And then I thought Jag would get back into it with this conversation with America. Like, it would remind him like, oh yeah, duh, we said that they might betray us and that this might not be legit. But then they just go and they have this whole like meeting and they think it's real. And I feel like, I just feel like it's like, how are they not getting that? Like, they literally just betrayed the professors. It was named and everything. And they had said like, this is our alliance. This is real. And then now they're telling everybody like, yeah, that alliance is done. It's over. It's over. It's been 1 week.
I think my read on it is that it's hugely about like comfort. Jag has been in a position since the beginning of the game where he's been trying to find a stable spot in the house. And right away, the alliance he created was like, nope, everybody knows about it. The other side has galvanized against you. You are in danger. And he's been on the run ever since, trying to find any home. And he's finally been offered one. It's nice and cozy. It's warm inside. Felicia has made some yummy food. It feels great. And then here's America banging on the window, trying to tell him it's an illusion. It's not real. And he's like, I feel like you might be telling me the truth, but it's a lot easier to feel. It feels a lot better to like just hunker down here than it is to go outside with you. Like, what am I gonna do? I have to go back to feeling like I'm
fight anymore.
Again.
Yeah,
and like and I'm like, I'd rather take the risk that this is real and it might pan out than go back out there with you. That's how I feel like Jag was reacting to America in that conversation. It felt like he was telling her, if what you're telling me is true, I'm screwed. And the implication of that is, I really hope it's not true. And so he's going to do everything in his power to try to make the thing he hopes is true work, while knowing in the back of his mind that it's kind of dangerous. And I think that's where Jag stands. I think that Matt rightfully feels that he's actually in good with them, because Matt is actually a lot more in good with them than Jag is. I think that Matt is somebody that does benefit from this alliance. Obviously, working other options would be good for him, but like, I think Jag is the one that is in the most danger, because they like Matt a lot. They have Jared with Blue, which means Jag is the most expendable person there, and they will absolutely push Jag out the door the second they need to. Whereas Matt may have some other options moving forward. But Matt also needs to be more aware, I think, of the situation, that even though he is in good with them, that doesn't mean he can't be also working other angles. And I think he kind of knows that, but I did not love how he was talking to Jag about it last night, feeling like, well, they chose us, so we're probably good. It's like, he's not entirely wrong for himself, but if it's just for himself, then he has no other options down the line. He's going to lose his other allies. And so I feel like that's where they stand right now. And I think that that's why America is having so much trouble getting through to Jag. And the fact that, for America, the fact that she has told Blue things and she knows that Blue has run it back to other people, and thinks that, okay, that's fine, I'll just go to Jag instead, is wild to me. And Corey's been trying to be like, what are you talking about? Why would you think Jag wouldn't tell Blue this? Why do you think Jag won't go back? Like, don't think that he's working with other people? And she's like, no, I really trust Jag. I really feel like Jag's the dude. Which is further evidence to me that like Jag should be really prioritizing America, because she's one of the only people in that game that will prioritize him at the expense of her own game. She really trusts him. And yet, I think I would hope that it became clear to him in this recent meeting that he has absolutely zero influence over the Seven Deadly Sins Alliance. The second he suggested anything, multiple people started shutting him down. And they all started bringing up America, and there was nothing he could do to stop it, even if he wanted to. And I don't know if he wanted to. But I feel like he's like, it's fine. That's fine. They're keeping me safe, right? So it'll be fine. And they're talking about how, yeah, we've got Red and Cam. So if they win, we'll be able to convince them to not target you guys. Don't worry about it. Which to me is like huge red flag. You've got everyone. He knows this, but he's okay with it.
He talked about it. Like he even talked about like they have everybody. Everyone is working with them. And then it was just like, it's like he has the information. He's got it right here. And then he just is like, it's gone now. I don't know. It's disappointing to me because I think it would be less disappointing if he didn't know the information and I just didn't think he got it. But I feel like he gets it, but then he just doesn't do anything about it.
I don't think he knows what to do about it.
Right.
I think
and
that
it's also possible that, you know, this whole like targeting America thing, like maybe he's just like, look, this is all early talks. We don't even know who's going to win HOH. Like, I'll just let this conversation happen. And then we'll like a lot can change between now and then. So maybe that's the case. And we're just sitting here like, why would you want to target America? And really he's just like letting this conversation happen with no intention of actually targeting America. But still, it's just, I mean, Cirie and Felicia and Izzy are sitting real pretty with everybody wanting to work with them and having like their hands in every single cookie jar. And everyone seems to be okay with that. I feel like everyone knows that they're doing that. It's not even like, oh, but they're secretly doing this. It's like, no, it's very open. Everybody knows that they're working with everybody and everyone's cool with it because they think my thing though is the real thing. Like they're just getting information from everyone else, but my thing's the real thing. And that's not the case. Their real thing can't be everything. Anyway.
Well, I think that like next week when we know who's the head of household, I think then maybe Jag will be able to understand how he can maybe use the information that he has to better his game. I think that he's kind of in a limbo state right now. As Taran had stated, he's kind of been lost and just been fighting to stay in the game from the beginning. And so he's settling now, he's gaining information, and maybe he'll use that once he has more information, and that's going to be who's in power. And so let's look forward to him maybe being able to handle next week better now that he's armed with more information.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did send out a survey. The survey is still open for another 12 minutes, roughly, if you want to fill it out yourself. But in the survey, I asked some questions. The first of which is, well, not the first one, but the first of the bonus questions is to ask the audience to rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. Do we want to try a top three here?
Oh, gosh.
I think favorite is Cirie, probably still, and then Corey.
And number three?
Number three, oh goodness. Maybe Felicia.
All right, Chantele, what is your guess here?
I thought it was just going to be that power trio. So Felicia, Cirie, and Izzy was what I was thinking.
I do not believe Izzy is in the top three.
They think she's wild.
Yeah, I think they think she's wild, but I don't think she's in the top three. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Melissa, you are closer. You have the top three, but the order is actually a little different.
Is it Corey on top?
Corey has surpassed Cirie.
Wow.
In the ranking.
Yeah, that's another thing is I also don't want America to go because I love AmeriCorey. So like I need that to stick around because it's like honestly the one thing that's like brings me a lot of joy. So, you know,
That's
I'm
the new delusional Claire club.
it really is. It's just like the thing is that I don't even want them to become like a real showmance. Like that to me, that once they become a showmance, I'm just like, okay, I don't care. I love the like flirting and the like will they won't they thing. I think it's so adorable. I think they're so cute. I will watch clips of it like on Twitter all day when people post about AmeriCorey because like I'm sitting there watching all the other conversations like on the actual feeds, but like I don't have time to like pick out little moments between Corey and America. So when I see those on Twitter, I'm just like grinning from ear to ear like a maniac.
Are you hoping to see some hand holding close-ups?
No, God, no, that's too much. I don't want that. It needs to be just pure flirting. A flirtmance. And yeah, I'm all about it.
I think Corey's continued like call outs of sketchy behavior has definitely helped you know, rise him in the rankings for sure.
I love that.
Especially
I
in
love he does
contrast
that.
with Jared. And so I would imagine that is a big help here. So
also,
yes,
wait,
Corey.
one more thing about AmeriCorey. Let me just I want to get it all out there because like I don't get to talk about AmeriCorey all the time. So another thing is it was pointed out to me on Twitter that, well, not to me directly, but I saw on Twitter that there's a comparison between them and Seth Cohen and Summer from the OC, and I was like, that is so it. That is exactly why I love them. I'm all about it. So yeah, that's, you know. This is a showmance I'll root for. I'm not rooting for Blue and Jared, honestly, at all.
For Boo?
Yeah, no, it's a cute name, Boo. But I think Blue. I thought in the beginning Blue was really handling Jared's questioning very well. But now she's all like, I can fix him, and they all like want to be together, and they're all kissing, and I'm just like, oh, that's not where I saw this going, and I don't love it. So
yeah. Well, the order is Corey, Suri, Felicia at the top. I'll just read it down from here. America in 4th place.
Oh, wow.
Quite the jump for America.
AmeriCorey, it's that AmeriCorey bump.
You're right.
I'm telling you.
She was, I think, 10th last week and is now 4th. Matt in 5th place, who moved up a little bit, followed by Izzy, who dropped a tiny bit. Then Jag, who stayed roughly the same. Then Mimi, who took a big fall from last week. Last week, she was in 4th place. People loved the ranting, but she's been all but absent entirely from both the feeds and the game this week. Just such an unfortunately passive player. It's a shame, but that's where Mimi is. Then Blue, who actually stayed roughly the same here. Then Heisem, who actually moved up a few spots. He was second to last week and is now not second to last. After Heisem is Red, who stayed about the same. And then Jared, who took a steep fall. He is second to last in the poll this week, compared to roughly like 7th place last week.
I mean, deserved.
Deserved.
Like it's been very, I don't even want to like watch him on screen right now, honestly. Like when he's on, I flip the like cam. I just can't do it right now. I'm so like grossed out and like turned off by the whole thing. And I'm just like, this is so, and the fact that I just feel like it's one thing to have this like wrong view, but it's another thing that when people like correct you on it or say like, hey, that's kind of hypocritical to say that or whatever, to just be like, oh, no, sorry, you don't get it because this is why I'm right. It's like, if he were to have been like, oh my God, like, yeah, you know what? I didn't realize how bad it sounded when I said it or like whatever. Maybe I could have been like, okay, this guy just like didn't understand. He didn't get it. I don't know why, but at least he's willing to like own up to his mistakes, learn from it, whatever. Instead, he's just like full on, full steam ahead, being totally gross and wrong. And it's just,
Well, it's also
so
frustrating because he's so gross and wrong, but then he's the son of our favorite player
know,
this season.
it's
I'm
like-
I can't not like you, but you were my #1 draft pick. Like,
I
oh
know.
my gosh, like, yeah, there's a battle that's going on within me with like my fandom of Suri and my frustration with Jared.
It's just also like, I mean, to me, it's shocking that it's one thing he has these views, whatever, but to spew them on live feeds, why? Like, I mean, I feel like, and then when people are like, hey, maybe don't, this is kind of wrong, to double down on it and not be like, oh shoot, yeah, I guess I should like not say this stuff. Like,
nobody ever
how
said
does
that to
he
him before?
not?
It's
Yeah, like how
wild.
does he not get that?
He
That's
doesn't have a lot of
gross.
females as
females.
friends.
Oh yeah,
He never thought of females as could be friends, like could be people.
barf.
What?
Like, yeah, it's so it makes me like sick, honestly. It's just like, I don't.
Well, and that Blue's now entertaining it.
Right,
like,
that's
it's
the
part of the
thing.
flirting. I'm like, what? Like,
Right.
now it's and it's cute that he calls you a female. Like,
Yeah, and it's cute that he like calls her a tease or
fix him.
something. It's like, that is not cute. That's just like, I don't know. The whole thing is just gross. And I think Suri would be grossed out
she'd be
by it. I don't think
furious.
she'd love this at all. I don't want to like put words in her mouth or whatever, but like, I just don't think she would like it.
I don't think
know,
she'll like
but-
anything about him and Blue. I'll tell you that.
Well, she doesn't
Yeah,
really like
well,
Blue
hopefully
that
she can put a
much
stop
anyways.
to that.
She said, "You
I
better not
mean-
be embarrassing me on national television."
Oh, too
Well,
late.
he is about
Nothing
that,
physical
and-
whatsoever.
Too late.
And he looked me in the eye, and he did.
Oh, boy.
God. It's so bad.
Well, of course, Cameron was in last place here on the popularity poll. So that's the poll. I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. The audience last week gave the episodes a 4.5. This week, a 4.6. So
I thought it was gonna go up, not much.
About the same. I asked the audience to rate the feeds this week. Last week it was an 8.0. This week, an 8.1. So there you go. Oh yeah, I did skip over Bowie. Sorry about that. Bowie was after Blue before Heisem, if I didn't mention Bowie in the popularity poll. Bowie stayed roughly the same as she was last week. Then I asked the audience to rate the season as a whole so far. Last week it was a 7.8. This week a 7.7. So even though they liked the episodes 0.1 more and the feeds 0.1 more, they apparently liked the season 0.1 less. But really all just roughly the same this week. I asked the audience to rate Felicia's HOH reign. And this is interesting because this is kind of an indictment on the decision to take out Heisem, right? I mean, it falls upon Felicia to have been the one to do this. How would you rate the HOH reign? Did she make the right move? How did she handle it? Last week, Heisem's HOH reign was rated a 2.9. This week, Felicia's HOH reign was rated a 6.9.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, her plan did, like, so far happen. You know, there was a lot of back and forth, but also I feel like she didn't totally upset her allies throughout the process. So I guess that's better than Heisem.
Yeah. I then asked, do you think Jag made the best decision for his game with the veto, as in using it on himself? And
as opposed to using on Cameron?
1% of the audience said no.
Okay.
Jokers. Who do you want to be evicted this week? It's a close vote. 55% of the audience would prefer Cameron leave and Heisem
I'm surprised it's so close. I feel like I absolutely want Cameron to go. I absolutely want Heisem to stay, especially now that Heisem's there's an attempted backdoor on him. You know, we have pressure cooker coming up. You think he's not going to fight for that if he stays? That is pure drama. I want Heisem to stay.
You want Heisem
so
in the
bad.
pressure cooker.
Absolutely. I want Heisem to stay in the house even longer than that.
He would
honestly.
talk everyone out of that pressure cooker through
I think
sheer
he should actually
words
stay
alone.
if you want fun feeds, You want Hisam to stay in that house. I swear. I mean, I don't know why people would want him to leave.
I think, I mean, there's still, he's still toward the bottom of the favorite ranking. But I think in addition to that, usually somebody who is this far ostracized from the game, it's going to be a real hard time to get back in, which means you can't really make good feeds if nobody's willing to really engage with you. If he won HOH, there's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna be in the game, which he can win HOH, but I think I would imagine that's at least part of it. But yeah, close vote.
I also don't understand why people don't want to work with him. Like, I get why now Suri and Izzy and Felicia are like, yeah, well, we betrayed him, so we can't work with him. But I feel like there is a way that, if Jag and Matt and those guys weren't so snowed by Suri, that they could be like, hey, let's pull Hisam in. We didn't betray him. We were in an alliance with him. Let's pull Hisam in. Let's turn him as our bulldog, and he can be the one to win competitions and go after the other side, so that way we don't have to do anything. Like, I just feel like it doesn't, to me, there are paths forward to use Hisam, and instead everybody is opting to just like say exactly what Hisam said to them, like in their conversation, and just rat him out like immediately afterwards. I guess it's like the easy move to just be like, look, let's just be rid of him. But I think there is a reason to want to maybe keep someone like that around.
Yeah, but how do you make it happen? Like, where do you get the votes, and who do you feel how confident do you feel that those votes will actually vote with you and not just rat you out and tarnish whatever position you do have in the game?
Well, that's the thing, is I think everybody's ratting out everybody. Everybody knows everything about everybody else's game. Nobody's secrets are safe. Even like the biggest secret in the house is currently being told by Jared to Blue. So I just feel like nobody's secrets are safe in the house. And yeah, I think that would be the biggest concern, is that like you couldn't trust anyone. I feel like nobody can trust anybody in the house. And that's, I think, the problem.
Well, and I think also they didn't enjoy their time when he was head of household, when he was in power. And so if they want to use him and be aiming him at people, they don't think that they believe that they can control him. And so I think that just it's kind of like, I think it's too risky and like, disrupt my position in the game. Don't know if I'm going to be able to control him. Don't know if he's even going to win. Let's just do this house consensus. Let's take out this person and then let's start again from scratch. So,
but yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is the easier option to just get Hisam out. And especially, I think part of it is because they all believe that they're in with Suri and that side. So it's like, if you think you have an in there, why be like, I need to take out Suri, like I need a weapon to take out that side, if you think you're on that side. So like, I totally get why they're not doing it, but it's like, from an outsider who's like, you're not in with them, they're going to betray you. You want the outsiders to be like, oh, duh, let me like use this weapon in Hisam and like, build an alliance outside of the Suri alliance on the other side. But yeah, they obviously aren't seeing it that way. So yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, finally, I asked the audience, who do they want to see win HOH next week? And with 31% of the vote, America is the person they would like to see.
That's who I would pick.
Win. Followed by Izzy and Corey with 15 and 12% respectively. And then Matt and Jag with 11 and 10%. So big numbers for America, hoping that America wins the HOH. I would assume, I think Pressure Cooker could be interesting because I think that Corey knows that America, Red, or Cameron need to win. They don't know as much that they need to win. So the question for me is, will Corey be able to communicate to them once they find out what the comp is? Don't drop for anything. You need to win this. Can he prevent them from making a deal that will not work out for them? That's what I'm curious to see. All right. So let's rate the players. Let's do it. Here we go. Let's pull this up here. This is, of course, the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And then we use that combined number, the average of the 3 of us plus the audience, to influence the prices on the Stockwatch at realitystockwatch.com, where you can play along and buy and sell shares of these players. All right, let's get going here. Let's talk about America, because America has been sitting soundly at a 5 all season long, 5s across the board. And for a moment, it felt like she was rising. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few people that decided to invest in America, because at the end of the week last week, she had really stepped up her game and things were looking a little bit better. Unfortunately, since then, things have only gotten worse, pretty dramatically worse. She is not faring well with Cerie's side. She has gotten in massive trouble sharing too much information with Blue, and finally has realized that she can't share that information with Blue, and so instead is now sharing it with Jag, and that's also, I would imagine, going to get back to everyone else. Corey is trying to warn her, but she just doesn't hear it. And so her position is in such a bad spot right now that she is either a backup target for most of the house next week or the primary target for most of the house next week. It is really not looking good, and it's going to take a lot to get out of this position because things are continuing to solidify in the other direction. So for me, I think that she got through a little bit.
I think that.
I think Jag was hearing what she was saying, but as I said, I don't think he's willing to actually do anything about it. And there's a chance that she gets Jag to actually think critically. But right now, it's definitely not happening, and she is definitely in a bad spot. So I think for America, I have to be pessimistic here. I have to go with a 3 for America.
Yeesh.
Yeah, it's not looking good in my eyes. Melissa, what are your thoughts here?
I think overall her position is not good, obviously, and the fact that people are talking about targeting her is not good. I think there was a lot of talk this week about people like finding out that America was saying one thing to some person and saying another thing to another, etc., which is not good for her. However, I do think that she's obviously smart. She obviously understands what's going on. I mean, I don't think she has a full read on the house, but when she talks to Corey, or even when she was talking with Jag, like I felt confident that she knew what was up and, was trying to be smart about it. However, it just seems like nobody around her wants to work with her, and she's being left out of a lot of stuff. And it's really unfortunate. I think if she sticks with Corey and starts listening to him, I really think she can get herself into a better spot. I'm certainly worried for her for next week, but I think in terms of like, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt because of her reads on the house, and because like when she speaks about the game, like she gets it, and she talks about how like they need to form something and they need to actually talk, or else they're going to get picked off one by one. Like that's what we say every single year. And I think I don't think Corey will let her just go so easily. I really don't. I think, if it comes down to it and he can have any influence, he's going to try and keep her. So I'm going to give her a 4, and we'll just see.
All right.
I mean, I feel bad because I feel like America is becoming America's favorite right now. And, I like the fact that she's kind of impassioned and she's like figuring things out. And like, that's interesting to me. But the fact that she can't grasp on to anybody to like make something happen, or she has all this information, but she doesn't have a plan on what to do with it. It's kind of frustrating because I'm like, I want to see her succeed, but she's not really figuring out how to use everything that she's got. Other than saying like, here, I'm telling you all this stuff, but don't tell anybody. Okay, that's not great. Like, be figuring out something to do if you're going to be sharing this information. I don't think I can go as low as you, Taran, just for the fact that like, she does have Corey in her court. Corey wants her to stay in this game. And I think that he is going to be able to help her out a little bit. And I don't think she realized how important Corey is to her game, but I think that he is going to look out for her because she's really important for his game. And so the fact that she has like basically an angel on her shoulder in Corey, protecting her, I'm going to bump her up from your 3 to a 4. So I'm agreeing with you here, Melissa.
All right. Well, the audience disagrees with all of us.
Oh, I got a 5.
The audience a bit higher on America. The audience did in fact give America a 5 this week. A little skeptical. A little skeptical.
She's America's favorite
the
right
same
now.
exact score she got last week.
The people love her. Let them have this.
We still got our 4. Boom, boom.
All right. Let's then move on to Blue. Melissa, how do you feel about Blue?
Okay, so when she was giving, this is like going way back, but when she was giving Riley arguments for like, okay, here's what you need to say, here's what you shouldn't be saying. Like, don't refer to how like you're only going to have one target and then we're all going to work together. You need to like actually give them reasons that they will want to keep you. Like, what good do you do for them? I was very impressed with her and I was like, okay, this girl actually gets it. Like, I actually think that if she was in this spot, she might be able to talk her way out of it. And Riley just didn't have that. And then, you know, she has the Jared thing, which I think is good, but I just feel like she's not really doing much. Like, I feel like she's not doing enough. She's being added to alliances here and there, but she's still considered a target or somebody to put on the block next to Jag. So I don't even know if her being in those alliances is super helpful for her. I think the fact that she's tied with Jared is both a help and a hurt, because it's helpful because maybe Jared could protect her. He would probably want to. It's hurtful because maybe Suri would want her out to get, you know, to split up a showmance or whatever, you know, and others might want to split up a showmance as well. So I just feel like I'm not that impressed with Blue this week. And I think she's in danger. I think she could be an easy target moving forward. I think similar to America in that she's not really being really included in things. But I also don't feel like separate from America, I don't feel like Blue really has the game knowledge in her, the strategy awareness in her. So for me, I'm going to give Blue a 3, I think.
A 3 from Melissa. Chantele, what do you think?
I mean, I started at 1 number for Blue, and it's definitely all these points of like changing it all over the place. You know, I want more for Blue than it seems like Blue wants for herself in this game. I'm like, does she want to win? Is she just a recruit? Like, I'm just like, what, why is she in this game? Like, I mean, she's in this showmance, not showmance, like that she likes, but she doesn't like, making kind of little winks to the audience. But like, is she here to play the game? I don't know. I know she was strategizing a little bit when she had her besties being Riley and Jag. And so she felt kind of safe when she had that trio. But just having a trio that's not a game. Like, I don't know. I just don't see her path to the end. I feel like she'll be a casualty of somebody. Like, you know, if you want to put her up against Jared just to like break those two apart, obviously Jared is more likely to stay over Blue. I think that if Suri asked Jared to choose, like, he's going to let Blue go. And so as much as like I would say that Corey was protecting America, I don't think that Jared will protect Blue as much because he's going to probably want to prove that like, oh, we're not that close. I'm not that emotionally attached. So I worry for her to being attached to him because yes, maybe she's getting some smooches, but I don't know if he will protect her. So with that, she doesn't really have a game for me. I think I agree with you with the 3, but it's a low 3. Like it's low for the 3 because I don't think she's the next target, but she might end up there, and I could see her going home quite easily.
All right, a 3 from Chantele. The audience agrees with both of you, just barely. They also gave Blue a 3. So down three threes in a row. I guess I'll be the dissenting opinion here. I thought I was gonna be lower on Blue, but turns out I'm the highest on Blue. I'm gonna give her a 4, which is the same rating that I gave her last week. I think her position has improved, but I think her gameplay has just continued to be really bad. In fact, worse than ever has been. Literally in the 7 Deadly Sins meeting they just had, she volunteered to be put on the block as a pawn by the other side that she knows has an alliance with everybody else, just completely out of the blue, which in this case is her. I just cannot understand how she is playing this game. She has not connected with anybody in the game apart from Jag and Jared. Nobody in this alliance actually likes her. They just she's just with Jag and Matt, and then is now attached to Jared. However, I do think that her connection to Jared will significantly boost her position in the game, and I think that she's going to be here for the long haul because of it. Is Jared gonna like super go out of his way to protect Blue? Absolutely not. If they were running from zombies, he would push her down so they ate Blue first. But I think it's unlikely that they will be running from zombies anytime soon because their position, especially Jared's, is really good. Yeah, it's a 4 from me. Let's move on to Bowie. Chantele, what do you think about Bowie?
What do I think about Bowie? I'm not sure what game she's playing either. You know, on the episodes, you kind of just see her going from room to room. We don't really see her, maybe a little bit more this week than last week in like game conversations, but like she's been in an alliance and she is included in some things, but she doesn't seem to nurture any of these relationships. She will talk when someone talks to her, but she's never really initiating anything. And so she's not really making a good enough, for me anyways, effort in being a game player in the house. And so I wonder what her path is to the end, and if she's even thought about it, or if she's just there until she's not there. So I would love to see a little bit more gaminess from her, just so I can like have a better idea of where to rate her. I don't think that they're coming for her right now. I know that they tossed her name up as a potential target, but it's because they think that she's doing more than she actually is. But for that reason, I think I'm gonna give her a 4 because I feel like she's doing a little bit more than than Blue for sure, and a little bit more than America with her placement, and like with at least being a little bit more included in some of these plans. She is still kind of in whatever the remnants of the professors are, like minus whatever Heisem. And so yeah, I'm gonna give her a 4 just because she might be able to do something, but I don't know if I have high hopes with her game strategy.
The audience has even lower hopes. They gave her 3.
I was feeling bad. Okay, good.
I am also going to give her a 3. And it's kind of a shame. I feel that I'm giving her a 3 because I actually think she played the week pretty well. I think that people from the audience, I think, underestimates Bowie's strategic capability. I think the house guests overestimate Bowie's strategic capability. And that combination is a bad mix for the perception of Bowie in the game. I think that she did a good job this week of ingratiating herself in with the power, reigniting the trust that Cirie, Felicia, and Izzy had with her to a small degree, almost getting a new alliance formed that she was actually in on this time again. But as it goes in this house, she has been far too passive ever since, and not really to a fault of her own, has been lumped into this middlemen joke alliance that Red and Cam keep placing her in, even though she's never talked to them about it. And that has just tanked her position in the game. And so, that combined with her passive gameplay has put her in a really bad spot. And that's why it's a 3 for me. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, a 3 for me as well. They just keep blaming everything on Bowie, and they keep being mad at her and annoyed by her, and so like she hasn't done anything, and I feel like she's an easy scapegoat for them for when they eventually do decide like, okay, we want to get her out. I mean, they just want to get her out. Like, even if she's like, I'm with you guys, I'm on your team, like they won't believe her. So, I mean, I just think she's not in a good spot, and I don't believe she's really doing anything to get herself out of it. Like, at one point this week, I was like, oh, okay, she's in. Like, she's in with the crew. They're, like, coming up with plans together and talking, and I was, like, feeling really high on her. But now I'm like, she's back to square one, and they don't even want to have anything to do with her anymore because they don't trust her. So, yeah, she's a 3 for me, unfortunately.
All right. Let's move on then to Cameron. How does the audience feel about Cameron? Well, they're continuing their 3 streak because they gave him a 3, which, to be fair, is higher than the 2 they gave him last week. Last week, it was looking like he might be going home as the vote was flipping on him. This week, also on the block, but not looking like he's going home. His position, though, is still pretty bad. But I do agree with the audience in the sense that not only is it not looking like he's going home right now, but in addition to that, he's not the highest on the target list for people. Red is high on the target list. America is high on the target list. Cam consistently is the person they're least concerned about. Also one of the people they like the least, though. So it's not like he has longevity in the game. Cam's only value in the game right now to anybody else other than Red is just to be used as a weapon against Cirie by Corey. Corey is the only person that has a use for Cameron. America is trying to use Cameron in a similar way, but is only getting caught and getting in trouble for it. Cameron's, I agree with the audience. Cameron's spot is still very not good, and I gave him a 3. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think his spot is certainly not good. I think, once again, he's on the block. I could absolutely see him being on the block week after week. And also, as with last week, this week could be very similar where, the target could possibly change. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. This house is wild. So he might be gone next week. We don't even know. And if not this week, if he gets put on the block again next week as a pawn, he could go that week. I just feel like he's expendable to everybody. It doesn't really seem like people have legit wantings to work with him. So for me, honestly, I think he stays at 2.
All right. Chantele?
For the fact that, he's believing that he kind of made this plan and that he wanted to be on the block because he's part of the master plan of getting out Heisem. The fact that he just doesn't realize that he's just expendable to everybody else in the house, that they don't mind putting him up. I do agree with you, Melissa, that he's going to go over and over again. They're going to use him on the block. If it's to get out America, maybe it's to get out America. He might end up going out instead because he hasn't really built seemingly any friendships with anybody or any loyalty from anybody. The only person that seems like they're protecting him is Red, and Red doesn't necessarily have that much power in the game unless he wins head of household. That's probably the only way that he's going to for sure be safe. And so it's just such, I think it's a pretty poor position, and I just don't see him doing anything to get himself out of it, and it doesn't seem like anybody wants to pick him up as a piece. So for that, I think I have to agree with Melissa with a 2.
All right. Let's move on then to Cirie.
Oh,
Let's talk about Cirie.
okay, good. You get to start with her.
I start with Cirie here. I was the lowest on Cirie last week. I don't know if that's going to stay the same this week, but my rating is going to stay the same. I gave her an 8 last week. I'm going to give her an 8 again for different reasons this time, slightly at least. I think that her position is incredible. It's easily a 9 or a 10, but I do think the gameplay to get here had some unnecessary and sloppy steps, which is why I'm docking some points. It is still also early, and it is entirely possible that the legend of Cirie is blinding us to the fact that she is due for a crash at some point soon. But given her position and given how, again, all that we talked about earlier in the podcast, I mean, we talked a lot about Cirie already. So I think my rating here is not going to be shouldn't be too surprising to anyone considering everything I've already said. But I think she's extremely talented in a lot of different ways. And I think her position is a result of that, despite all of the sloppiness. She managed to pull this move off with basically 0 blood on her hands, basically 0 consequences, and in fact has actually gotten into an even better spot through all of it. You know, if this were later in the game, I would be very comfortable going up to a 9 or a 10. And I probably will if she continues to be in this spot, and this is just continues to be how she happens to do it. But for now, it's more of a like conservative 8, while we're still working out the bugs in the system of how exactly Cirie is managing to make all of this work. But again, for more detailed stuff on Cirie, I just listen to the earlier portion of the podcast if you have to skip that. I don't know. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah. So I don't want to do this because I think that this Heisem move is really bad and is really dumb. But for whatever reason, she is in such a good spot still. Nobody's blaming her for the Heisem thing. She's getting out of it scot-free. I mean, look, we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the week. Like, obviously something could turn around and, Heisem could stay and the whole thing could blow up. But at this point, that's all we have to go off of. And I mean, everyone wants to work with her in every conversation. It's like, hey, look what they did to Heisem. They could betray us, but they won't. And it's not Cirie anyway. It was Izzy. And so it's like, I just feel like it's like, I don't know if she could do anything at this point that would make people be like, yeah, I don't want to work with Cirie. I want to get her out. Nobody has talked about targeting Cirie. I mean, people have said, oh, well, we can't go to the end with Cirie. Like some people, very minor conversation where some people have said, we can't go to the end with Cirie. But like, nobody has talked about like, hey, I don't know, Cirie's controlling the whole house right now and everybody is working with her. Maybe we should look at getting her out. And so for me, I got to give her a 9, as much as I don't want to do it, honestly, because this week, this move is stupid. I have to give it to her because the rest of the people, like it's her position in the house is what matters. And the other people in the house don't care. So she's a 9.
Yeah, I want to make this clear because there were people last week who were like, this rating for Cirie is too high, and I was the lowest on Cirie last week. But like I feel like it's this like juxtaposition of current position versus the messiness that we sit through all week long. But I just want to make it very clear from my perspective that I think her position is absolutely worthy of a 10. And the social work that she's putting in to get there is at least a 9 or a 10. Like, she is in a really crushing spot. Not only is she in a good spot in the sense that she's well insulated, she has a lot of different options. She's very protected. She has a bunch of different alliances and everything that we've talked about. Nobody's even considering taking a shot at her. Even if they did manage to think about it or make something happen, she would not be the victim of it. That's all without considering the son advantage that she has with Jared. If you add that in, she has an even bigger layer of protection. And then on top of that, you have Izzy, who's basically willing to take a bullet for her. And so even if they did take a shot, even if they thought about it first, then took a shot, then realized they needed to take that shot at Cerise specifically, they still wouldn't land the shot because Jared would be able to get involved, Izzy would be there, and it's just there's a ton of protection. So many blocks need to fall for her to even start getting into trouble. And so for me, just to make this clear, the 8 is a severe punishment for the flippy floppy, wishy-washy back and forth that she's making me sit through. Like less so a getting an 8 up from that. It's like that the 8 is the reason for that, because otherwise it would be really, really high. It would be like up at a 10. But yeah, that's my perspective. Go ahead, John.
I don't know now. Like, you guys are both convincing me on both of your points. When I came in, I wrote down an 8 for Suri for the fact that she hasn't been playing like the perfect game. If we were to write out how you should play this week, she didn't do it to how I thought like she would need to do it. But what she's done has just been so like the miss. Is she missing me? Like, I don't know. Like, is this really terrible gameplay and her position actually is horrible and like I'm just missed it by Suri? No, I don't think so, because like you're saying, Taran, she is protected on all angles, and I just don't actually see a way for people to get her out, because if she's on the block, they're not going to vote her out. So, I had to give her credit for that. So yeah, I started with an 8, but the fact that like, I'm just so impressed, because if anybody else was as messy as she was, they would be, out the door next. And I don't think that she's even close to being out the door next. So I'm bumping my 8 up to a 9. I'm shocked that I was going to do this. I saw in like the comments before, like, you guys better not give 9s or 10s to Suri. And I'm like, I'm not going to give a 9 or 10 to Suri. And I'm like, but I'll give her a 9 because it's impressive. It's impressive. I have to give her credit for impressing me.
Well, there you go. 9 from Chantele. The audience gave Suri an 8 this week. More with me is the audience there. So she is going to stick with the 9. And let me tell you, we're going to hear about it.
Oh my God,
I'll tell you that.
you guys are being biased towards Suri.
Look, I don't want to give this to her. You think I want to do this? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this at all.
I can't punish her anymore.
That's the thing. It's like, I want this to be like, oh yeah, this is a bad move, and everybody knows it in the house, and they don't get it.
For everyone that plans, who's already opened up the replies or opened up Twitter and is like YouTube typing out the message, let's make a deal. All right, let's hear. This is just you and me. Let's forget about everyone else. Let's make a deal right now. When Suri's position falters and she goes home, you can be like, ha, we told you so all you want. And we will say, you were right. We were wrong. When everything goes wrong for her next week, and we need to rate her way lower, and it was like, see, we saw it coming and you guys didn't, then we will say, you are completely right. We got this one wrong. But until then, let's wait and see. All right. Let's wait and see what happens. All right.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Corey.
Agreed.
Melissa, how do you feel about Corey?
Honestly, I feel really good about Corey. I feel like not only is he like the one person in the house that like truly gets what's going on, he truly like can see the big picture and see what's happening. But also now he's in with Suri to the point where Suri is defending him and saying, no, we trust Corey. No, we've got Corey. We trust him. Like, he brings me information. I believe in him. So I feel like that's key for him. He has a lot of other allies as well who want to work with him. And, as much as Hisam's saying, oh, I don't want to target you, I didn't want to target you or whatever, that was like his main opponent in the house, if you want to call it that, was Hisam. And now Hisam's leaving. So I guess my one concern for him is if they do decide to target America next week, like that's not good for him, because that really is his like sounding board, his side alliance, like his, other person, his Helena, if you will. And also, yes, my favorite Corey duo. So I really don't want her to leave, and for him and also for me. And so I'm gonna give Corey an 8. Honestly, I've been very impressed with him.
An 8 from Melissa. Chantele, what do you think?
What I really like about what Corey is doing is the fact that, you know, in your podcast that you did with his brother, Zach, is like they came in with a plan. And I love people that come in with a plan and at least are going to be adaptable to their circumstances. And so he started kind of in a bad place, going to the nether regions, being on the block, getting himself taken off the block. And then since then, he's kind of just been going upward on like talking to people and becoming important pieces in people's games. And then he's at the same time, he's still able to look out for his own game and kind of see what he needs for himself to do better. But then also knowing how to handle Suri. A lot of people have had access to Suri and could be in a good position with her in the game, but they're just letting that relationship just kind of fall away. But he's nurturing it, and that's really put himself in a really good spot. He's trusted. He's locked in with the nucleus of the house, and he's also really wise enough to be able to see what's going on like in the periphery, and he has his sounding board, like you said, with America. And so I just like the game that he's playing. I'm interested in watching him play. I like the conversations that he has. I like his perspective, and it's just going up and up. And so I'm not going to rate him at the same as Suri, but just a little bit below her. So I'm going to go with the 8 also.
All right, an 8 from Chantele.
I love Corey. He's so cute.
I can tell you that the audience agrees with both of you and also gave Corey an 8. In fact, I'll tell you this. Suri's rating was a 7.77. Corey's rating was a 7.73.
Whoa, very close.
He passed her in the favorite ranking, but not quite in the strategic one. But he came close. He came close.
He's moving up there. He's getting
I think I'm again going to be the voice of dissent here a little bit. Here's the thing.
Fair
have really enjoyed watching Corey play this week. I think that he is a very talented player. He has really good instincts. He is very good at a lot of different things, and I really liked how he was able to keep the focus on Heisem this week and keep the. I mean, without Corey, Heisem might not be on the block right now. And he got that without having to sort of like expose himself in any meaningful way. Despite that, he has this major issue that is that he is unable to have enough influence over his allies. He's able, like he had that one moment where he was able to make this really compelling argument about why it made sense to keep Heisem as the target. But apart from that, unless he has concrete information, he is unable to sway his allies in a different direction. And that includes Jared, who anytime Corey says something to Jared, he's like, no, I know what's going on. Izzy is a lot more receptive, but is more under the influence of Suri. Suri obviously isn't gonna, Suri is Suri. He tried to help Riley. It didn't work. He's trying to help America. It's not working. He's trying to help Red and Cameron and telling them that they can't trust Matt. It's not working. He can't get anybody to listen to what he's trying to tell them without exposing his own position and giving away the information that would give away his position. A lot of people are like, why doesn't he just tell America that he knows about Jag, Blue, and Matt being in an alliance? And I don't think he can. I really don't. I think that not only because if he says that, then what's the question for America, right? How do you know? Where did you get that information? Because if he then says, well, I got it from Izzy, or I got it from Jared, or I got it from Suri, that's a huge red flag to America. Why are they telling you about a new 7-person alliance that could completely blow up their spot unless they deeply trust you? Like, you're embedded in there. And it's not like knowing this information will magically make America in a better spot. It will stop her from, continuing to spiral, but she's still a huge target. And now she has this very incriminating dirt on you that she would absolutely use to get herself out of that spot. Not to mention the fact that he told America that he was the closest thing he has to a final two is with Jared, and she immediately told Jag about it. So it's not like he can trust her with the information, even if she didn't, wasn't inclined to give it away. My point is, he's having trouble keeping his pieces on the board, and he's getting pushed into a corner. Despite all of that, I think he played really well this week, and I think he still has a lot of good outs. There's some stuff. I think he had a good conversation with Jag while this podcast has been running. My instinct is that this could be setting Jag up, which would be, I think, which would be a good weapon that he could use. If it's not, it could get him in trouble, or if it works, it could, present another option for him. But all this to say, I gave him a 7. I've been giving him 7 since the start. I started higher on Corey than anyone else, and now I'm lower on Corey than everyone else at the moment. But that's because everyone else's opinion has gone up above where mine was. But I'm very interested in watching Corey play. I think he is like the one real wrench and wild card in the world. I mean, obviously they're all wild cards, but like the fact that Corey is like a very logical player is the wrench and wild card in this house of very chaotic players. And so it's put him in a weird spot. Anyway, let's move on to Felicia. Chantele, how do you feel about Felicia?
So when she won head of household, I was so excited, and seeing that she was actually going to go through with this backdoor of Hisam, and I was pretty impressed by the fact that she was able to follow through, because a lot of people might buckle with Hisam has strong energy and disappointed dad vibe. I would just be quite scared and nervous to actually follow through with this backdoor plan, especially after he kind of threatened being nobody should go out like that. The fact that she followed through, I was impressed. But then she had that conversation with Jag, and I feel like it really took apart all of my excitement with her doing so well this week. I thought that it was, they just had an alliance that they formed, and they brought him together and probably making him feel safe. And then she goes and is dropping F-bombs to threaten this kid that's just he's just taking himself off the block, and he just wants to stay in the game. And I just thought that was just really terrible for her positioning and her rapport that she has with Jag. Now, it doesn't seem like anything specifically has been a result of her having that conversation with him, but I think down the line, when it comes to loyalty or feeling safe, I think that he easily could be swayed by being yeah, do you know what? She didn't trust me in this alliance. They went after Hisam and they were in alliance together. It might later down the road come back to bite her. And so I think that all the good work that she's done with winning and actually following through with the plan, I think it was kind of unraveled a little bit with her version of HOH-itis. So I'm not going to go too low, but I'm going to go with the 7 for Felicia this week. I wanted to give her an 8, but it's a 7.
Well, the audience gave Felicia a 6 last week. They were the lowest on Felicia last week. This week, they feel better. They gave her a 7. I mean, they rated her HOH a 6.9, so it shouldn't be too surprising that they gave her a 7, although her rating was specifically a 6.6 there. So, a little bit of a discrepancy, but hey, rating the HOH is different than the overall rating. So a 7 from the audience. I am inclined to agree. There was a point in the week where I was feeling like I was going to go lower on Felicia, but she has ultimately come out of this looking pretty good. Nobody's really targeting her still. I do still feel like she is somebody that is respectable for the end game, and has now a huge notch on her belt, having been the one to take out Hisam. I think the confrontation of Jag was pretty messy. It was messier than Cirie would be. Cirie is strategically messy, but socially flawless. And Cirie kind of cleaned up that mess for her. However, I think her reputation for just being blunt serves her well as well. And she got away completely clean from that whole situation, despite the messiness of the confrontation. And I think that's a testament to the respect that people have for her in the game. So I agree with the 7 overall.
Yeah, I totally agree with what both of you guys were saying. I think that this week ultimately ends up being a good week for her, even though there was a lot of mess during it. So I'm going to give her a 7 as well.
All right. Straight 7s there for Felicia.
Okay.
What do you want from us, Felicia?
It's so strange.
7 was
Let's
good.
hear-
All right. Let's move on to Hisam. Hisam, who has been blindsided, is backdoored on the block. He got a 3 last week. This week, from the audience, I should say. This week, he got a 2.
Mm-hmm.
A 2 from the audience. Last week, I gave him a 2. I considered giving him a 1. I still feel like, maybe now, I said, maybe next week when it's looking bad, I'll wish I had given him the 1. I am kind of feeling that way. I do think we need to look at Hisam's HOH as, potentially an all-time stinker. That said, he didn't play that bad this week. He actually did come kind of close to not being out. It's kind of hard to be like, it's kind of hard to go all the way down on Hisam because it really didn't make sense for them to make this move.
Exactly.
And I blame them more than I do Hisam for why they made a move that didn't make sense. I don't think he played well. I think he absolutely did this to himself in a lot of ways, but I just don't feel like I don't feel like I can give him the 1. So I'm gonna stick with my 2 overall because this is exactly where I thought he would be last week, and here he is, and I don't think he did anything worse this week. So what do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give him a 2 as well. There's always a chance he stays. I think, obviously it's not looking good for him. I think he's handling it fairly well. I don't know what the initial confrontation was because they didn't have feeds, but when feeds came up, he was very calm and was just apologizing for, any behaviors that he had. And so I thought that was very good strategy. I think he makes a lot of good points in his discussions with people in his pitches. The one thing I would say is that I think, and this is, I think, where he's going about it wrong, is he's pitching to everybody all at once now versus trying to pitch to one side, aka his old alliance. Maybe he can turn them around, seeing what they say, saying, I want to work with you guys. I want to be with you. I don't know what I did wrong, but I'll rectify it. I'll fight for you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then when they say, no, we're not interested, we're not voting to keep you, then go to the other side of the house and reveal the secrets and do all that sort of stuff. But I feel like the problem is he pitched to them, oh, I'll work with you. I want to work with you guys. I'm so sorry. At the exact same time, he was pitching to the other side, revealing all their secrets, not knowing that the other side was then just going to tell his professor's alliance that he was doing that. So it was like he was losing both of them at the same time because it was all too much too soon. And I think it would have worked out a lot better for him if he had just picked a side. And then once that side said, nah, you know what, we're not doing it, then move on to the other side and do the opposite strategy instead of doing 2 different strategies at once. So yeah, he's a 2 for me. I think there's still a possibility he stays, but it's so slim, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah, he'd be good in the pressure cooker for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Hisam. I mean, he's in a terrible position that is to no fault but his own. And I mean, I guess it's a plus that I feel real bad for him. I'm just like, oh, this poor guy. I'm like, I feel for Sari when she's in that kitchen when Izzy's standing there as her bodyguard talking to Hisam, and he just seems so defeated and so sad. And I'm almost snowed by this because I know that as soon as he became powerful again, he would go back to the exact same ways as the reasons why, he was he's being targeted this round anyways. So he's just not effective in how he's pitching to the house guests. I do think that there is a world where he could stay, but I just don't think that he has it within him to be able to say the right things to the right people. I even find that his tone is a little bit still condescending, and even if it's soft and it's even keeled, but it still has that, like, you're stupid because you're doing this, even though it isn't really the best plan. But he still has that air of arrogance about him that, like, it just reminds people that, yeah, do you know what? We know what you're like when you're in power, so I'm not going to fall for this. So I think I can't give him the 1 because he does have the shot. He might stay. It might go crazy, and he might end up staying. I don't think it's possible, but there's still a chance. So 2s across the board for Hisam.
Across the board, indeed. All right. Let's move on then to Izzy. Talk about Izzy. I've given Izzy 3s so far, and honestly, I'm tempted to go even lower.
Oh boy.
But I'm gonna stick with my 3. I think losing Hisam was the worst for Izzy over anyone else in the game. He was a final 2 for her, an option for somebody that she could actually feasibly beat given his likability. In a final 2, would have won a ton of comps to help her get there. She could have influenced to keep control of so that he didn't go too out there. I really feel like Hisam's eviction falls on Izzy's shoulders more than anyone else because she should have been the one advocating for him. And with Hisam leaving, she remains the most vulnerable person in the core group between Jared, Felicia, Cirie, and herself. I think that she is, she is the person that will take a hit. And so I just continue to feel like she is actively playing against her own interests, which is kind of unique in this game. Nobody else is really doing that, even if they're playing poorly. I think that they're at least playing for their own game, whereas Izzy is continuing to play intentionally into a losing hand. And so for that reason, I am giving her a 3. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with that. I think part of the reason why, like, I probably would be higher on her, but there's just so much talk in the house of people saying, well, this is Izzy's doing, or this is Izzy's fault, or Izzy is the one who's causing all this chaos or whatever, and not blaming Cirie or Felicia at all in that trio. So it's just, I think you're totally right. I think the first target out of those 3 is going to be Izzy because I think she's an easier one to go after. And I also think that Izzy is kind of chaotic around the house sometimes. Like, even just like today, when Hisam was, I guess she was mad at him. And so she told him, like, she confronted him and then immediately was like, I don't want to talk to you. And so I was just like, okay, like, I don't know. I feel like that's not the way to handle these types of things, to have like a public kind of confrontation and then just be like, no, I'm not speaking to you. So for me, yeah, I think Izzy's a 3.
All right, Chantele.
Izzy. I love Izzy. I mean, I agree with both of you with all your points, but I'm going to bump her up just a little bit for the fact that she's got that secret that's like, that little subtle threat that she's able to hang over the Fields' heads. And I think that is really powerful. The fact that she's kept that secret and she's kept right beside Cirie's side. She's able to have like gaming conversations with Cirie. Cirie, like, people are making memes that she's Cirie's long lost daughter. Like, I think that the fact that she has put herself in that position where I don't think that Cirie will want to cut Izzy at this point because she's just, but she's trusted her with such important information for her game. And so the fact that she has this information, she's kept it quiet, and she's really gotten close to Cirie, I'm just going to give her a little bump up from your guys' 3 to a 4.
All right. Well, the audience disagrees with all of us.
5s across the board.
They gave Izzy a 5. So the ratings are actually exactly the same as last week. 3, 3, 4, 5 for Izzy. You know, and that's the audience a little higher on Izzy overall, I guess, than us
Because it's
here.
the entertainment factor for sure.
I mean, that may be part of it. I think there are arguments to make. I mean, I think that the 3 is it definitely, for me, it feels harsh because she is such a core player. It's just that, like, I just don't see how she's winning the game right now or how she's actively playing toward a win. But you know, what are you gonna do? Let's talk about Jag. Melissa, how do you feel about Jag?
Oh, I don't feel great about Jag, unfortunately. And it sucks because I feel like Jag will have these conversations where he's got it. And I've like, oh my, the light bulb is on and he knows what to do and he knows what the next steps are and he's got this. And then he'll have a conversation the next minute and it'll be like as if that light bulb never turned on. And it was just like words he had been speaking. I don't know. I'm also, I think even outside of that, like, I think I would be giving him kudos for at least like having those like sparks of like, oh, I get it. But I think on top of that, you have a lot of the people in the house wanting to target him. Maybe not directly target, but they at least are like, yeah, let's throw him up on the block. Let's put him on the block. And they don't really care if he goes or not. They think he's a threat. They think he's got some like other side of the house. And he really doesn't at this point. He doesn't have anyone working for him. And I think I'm very worried for him going into this next week. So, oh God, I think I need to give him a 3, honestly. It's harsh and I don't want to do it, but I hope that's a 3 that goes up, honestly. But at this point, I don't know.
All right, Chantele.
I really like Jag, but I don't think that he has any allies right now that he's able to bounce his ideas off of that can actually make something happen. But I do have faith that he'll be able to stay a little bit longer in the game. You know, he's able to win the veto. So, you know, we know that he's decent in competitions and he's a smart guy. Like we see his, you know, the wheels turning, we see the light bulb moment, you know, we see him wanting to put together the ultimate alliance, the onion strategy with, as well as the parachute strategy. Like he, you know, he's a smart guy. I just don't think that he has the players or he hasn't adapted to the players that he's playing with in the game. But I'm hoping that if he stays in here a little bit longer, he'll be able to learn a little bit more and adapt a little bit more. So my fingers are crossed for Jag. Yes, his position's pretty crummy. And a lot of people, yes, are looking at him as maybe someone to go. And I think it's because he does have that potential of being a good strategist and competitive, of course. So I'm going to go a little bit higher than you, Melissa. I'm going to go for the 4 with Jag. And I'm really hoping that it will continue to go up because I have faith in him, a little bit of faith.
All right. Well, the audience is once again a bit higher on Jag than the 2 of you, at least.
Okay.
They gave Jag a 5.
Hey, that's fair. I would love for Jag to have a 5.
There you go.
It's a chicken suit.
Yeah, Jag is a frustrating player because he is smart and it feels like he knows what he should do, but again, he just hasn't been able to apply it and is not getting himself into a good position. That said, he is winning the battle between himself and Cameron and Red. He's in a better spot than America is right now, and I think that his desire to create this alliance, this 7 deadly sins, has helped him get into a better spot, even though he believes in it too much. That very same belief is helping him, you know, stick around for a few more weeks as of right now. So, you know, I'm not that deeply low on Jag, but I do think that he's going to run out of runway very quickly if he doesn't reposition himself soon. So for me, like comparing him to somebody like Blue, where like Blue is, I think, playing really poorly, but in a decent spot because of the Jared connection. I think Jag is playing kind of poorly, pretty poorly, but not as bad, but isn't in quite as bad as, or is in a bit of a worse spot So overall, I'm going to give him the same rating as Blue, and I'm going to give him a 4 there. All right, let's move on to Jared. Let's see. We will start with Chantele. How do you feel about Jared?
How do I feel about Jared? It's really hard to piece apart like what I've seen him do, but his perception, like the perception everybody has of him in the game and his actual positioning. And I'm so frustrated with him, watching him, and this is the way that he thinks and about women and all that stuff that we've been talking about for the last week or so. But he's in a really good position, and he has the best player in the game that's going to be protecting him at all costs, and I think that that's going to be quite useful. Now, I do feel as though the fact that the Jag side of things has figured out that he was running information to the professors at one point. So, the jig is up a little bit there. He's not able to play the perceived middle as well or as much. And so I'm going to bring him down a little bit, but he's going to probably have one of the higher scores from me this evening, and I'm going to give him a 6.
6. All right. I gotta say, I'm already kind of regretting that. I feel like it should have been a 3 for Jag, but what are you
Oh my
do?
God, you're like ratings remorse.
The problem is I forgot that I do think that Red and Cam are gonna fight hard in the HOH, and I think that he's in deep trouble next week if they win.
That's what I'm worried about.
I had forgotten about that when I was thinking about his position, because I'm watching Izzy and Suri on the feeds right now. But yeah, look, what are you gonna do? Is it gonna change?
Nobody went in and bought Jag.
You can change it. I changed last week.
It doesn't even change the rating, so I'm gonna go back to a 3. All right. The audience gave Jared a 5, down from the 6 last week. There you go. Man, Jared's an interesting one. I think Jared is not playing great. I think that his spot is continually getting blown up, but his position is so good it doesn't matter. So what are you gonna do? At the end of the day, I gave him a 7 last week. I gave him an 8 the first week. I think I'm just gonna continue to go down and agree with Chantele here. I think a 6 works for Jared. I think he can absolutely win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't feel that confident about that statement if Suri wasn't there. If Suri was not there, I would feel way worse about Jared. If Jared wasn't there, I would feel mostly the same about Suri. Because even to the degree that can Jared win a jury vote? Sure, absolutely. Can Jared win a jury vote if Suri is on the jury? It would be impossible for him not to. It's just it's weird. It's weird trying to rate Jared, but I do think that the position is still good, but I think the play has been definitely not great. So yeah, Melissa, what do you think?
Sorry, I was just telling Riley how she was a silly girl. Anyway, so I had to be on mute for that. Okay, so for Jared, oh God, I think he's not good. I really don't think he's good. I mean, he's totally snowed by his I feel like he's totally snowed by his showmance. Because what is this whole I have a little secret I can't tell you, but I want to tell you so bad. But anyway, here are some clues about it, and now I'm going to bring it up again. I was one day behind on watching the morning update. So I was I'd watch the feeds and then I was catching up with 2 morning updates in a row. And it was so funny to watch one of the morning update where he first reveals I have a secret. And you guys were look, people talk all day long in the house. There's probably not going to remember this one little thing he said in the conversation. And then literally the next morning update was well, he did it again. He brought up the secret again. And it was just so funny. So, yeah, I just feel like he's purposefully seeing how far he can take it and testing the waters and seeing what he can do. And I just don't think he's good enough to be doing that. I think the only reason that I would give him the score that I'm going to give him is because of Suri. So without Suri there, he is so bad. So I'm going to give him a 5.
All right. A 5 it is from Melissa. Let's move on to Matt. How does the audience feel about Matt? Well, last week the audience gave Matt a 5. This week they gave Matt a 6. Up for Matt. Not undeserved necessarily either. I mean, I gave him a 6 last week. I'm going to stick with my 6. I do think that his gameplay has improved. His position has improved. He's done a very good job of making people feel like they have him, and that he's good with them. I think that he has ingratiated himself into the power structure pretty well. That said, he has an expiration date on that. He's good for a little while, but he has absolutely no concrete endgame plans. And that's going to come back to bite him at some point. But for now, his position is fine. I like his social game a lot. He's just going to have to, at some point, pick up the strategic game a little more and start working some other angles because, as I said, it's eventually gonna fall out from under him. But for now, I'm gonna keep my 6. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like with the social aspect of it, I think he's doing excellent. I think you're right in that it does feel like in the conversations that he has, he's kind of like a little slow on picking up like the strategy of what or like the reasoning behind like, why Jag is telling him that something's important. He's kind of like, wait, but like, and Jag has to explain, and then he's like, oh, yeah, okay, that's why, yeah. Oh, I saw that. And it's like, I don't know if you did see it. So like, I feel like, I think the fact that Jag has to like reiterate things to him, or like America has to like reiterate things to him of like why it's important to note that like Izzy said XYZ or whatever. I think that to me is like, okay, I don't know if he really has the strategy of it. Especially because, you know, he had that really great conversation with Jag last night where they came to the realization that like, look, if they're going to do this to Heisem, their ally, they could do it to us. But then I feel like he immediately the next day was talking with like Bowie and Red or someone and was saying like, yeah, Jag's paranoid or something. And maybe he was just like covering for Jag in case like Jag says something, or trying to just kind of like talk with them and be on their side. But it did feel weird to like, it felt like he was, I don't know if he was actually doing this, but it did feel a little bit like he was throwing Jag under the bus. Not that they have any influence or whatever, but it just was odd that he was immediately like, I felt like their conversation was so good that night that it just felt weird that immediately he was like, yeah, Jag's paranoid. And so that was a little made me a little like wary of him in regards to strategy. But then, you know, he had a really, really good conversation with Suri later today. And I felt like they were both like really saying what the other one wanted to hear, it felt like. So, but at the same time, I felt like they were really bonding. And it did seem to me like Suri would want to keep him around. Not only that, but like, you've got America telling him things. You've got Jag telling him things. You've got Corey trying to make inroads with him. You've got Jared and Blue having like real conversations with him. You've also got Cameron and Red thinking that they can use him and thinking that they have him on their side. So he really he's in with like everybody in the house. And I feel like the one person who had kind of been like talking about targeting him is Heisem, and Heisem's leaving. So I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. I just don't know if he knows how to use it. So I am going to give him a 6, but you know, we'll see.
All right, Chantele.
I really like Matt. I think he's really kind, really sweet. I really like the fact that, you know, Riley did leave, but he was then able to open up to Suri. And I think she was with Izzy, I'm not sure. And they're talking just about, you know, his disability and like how, you know, just but things that he's experienced in his life, and they were being endeared to him. And he was building that emotional connection with players. And I feel like he's been doing that since Riley left. And I think it's really good for his social game. Absolutely. I agree with both of you that he's in a really good position. And I think that he's going to be taken along to Final Six. I don't think that anybody's really going to be looking to target Matt until around there. I think that whoever like if he wins power, like there's somebody's going to be able to use him to take out somebody else. And I think that he's going to last a pretty long time in this game. I don't see an end game for him either. I don't see if he's even thinking that far ahead. I don't think if he knows the game very well to know that like, hey, maybe you should be trying to figure out how to get to the end and maybe how to win. I don't think that he's really thought that far ahead. And so because it doesn't seem like he has any strategy, he's just really great socially and very likable and knows who to talk to about what. I'm going to give him a 6 as well. But I really, really like him, and I hope that he gets some strategic aptitude. But right now, I don't really see any hints of that yet.
All right, let's move on to Mimi. Last week, I gave Mimi a 5. Everyone else gave her a 6. Unfortunately, for me, Mimi has certainly fallen even further than where she was last week. I think we've talked a lot about Mimi, or at least as much as we can, given the amount of content she's given us, unfortunately, in the house. I just think that her position is not great. And I think that it's unlikely she's going to be targeted anytime soon, but she has nobody. I mean, she could certainly turn it on, and this house is fluid enough that she could probably pick up some pieces, but she doesn't seem to even want to. So yeah, I mean, right now I'm going to give her a 4. I'm going to drop from the 5. I just feel like maybe not in any imminent danger, but I just haven't seen a willingness to like actively play. And that's a huge detriment in this game. So, we'll see. I think that people are finally starting to realize that she's not, in the middlemen, which is good, but the damage has really been done. So who knows where things go from here for Mimi. Melissa, what do you think?
I just don't know why she's not doing more. Like, I really don't understand what happened here. I feel like she in the beginning, I feel like she had such potential. And then she like has those storage room, like camera talks where you recognize like, oh, she's invested. She's into this. She knows what's going on. And yet then she like won't talk game with people. She won't do anything. I just don't know. What are you doing there if you're not going to like talk game and play? Like, I just don't get it. So I'm disappointed for sure. I'm hoping, that this changes next week, but who knows? This could go down, but at this point, I'm going to give her a 4 as well.
All right, Chantele.
Me. I wanted her to be doing so much better. I find her very entertaining with her storage rants. How her perception in the first couple of weeks of what was going on in the game, saying that like that's a stupid move. We should be keeping Hisam. Like, I wish her voice was louder and that she was involved in these strategic conversations in order for them to actually have seen the light of using Hisam as your shield and taking out all these different targets for you. She had the right idea, but she was just so easy just to let them do what they want, being like, okay, yes, I'll go whichever way that you guys want to go. And at first I thought that was good, that she wasn't going to be too rigid and too inflexible, but now it looks as though she's just inactive. And I want to see an active player. I want to see someone that's doing something to better their position in the game. If they don't have a good relationship with someone, better that relationship. She was in the nucleus and they're wanting to have conversations with her. And then now it became like, oh, do you know what? We should tell Mimi so she doesn't find out later. But she's not involved in any of the conversations, which is really frustrating because they wanted her to be included, but she didn't allow herself to be part of them. And it's just made her be really an afterthought of like someone that they need to talk any sort of game with. And you want to be talking game and making those plans with the people that are making the plans. And I feel like she really lost her positioning with the strategic force of the house. And so, you don't want Sari being like, nah, I don't care for Mimi. Oh, she doesn't need to, like, she doesn't have a drive to keep her in the game because she doesn't strategize with her. She doesn't bring her any information. It seems as though she's in another alliance that she's not telling you about, but like, they just don't know any better to know that she's actually just ineffective and not doing anything at all. And it's very frustrating. I'm still going to give her a 4 because nobody's coming for her, but I want her to pick up her game because she has such potential. She has pretty good reads, but she just doesn't do anything. And I need her to start doing something. So fingers crossed that things change, but 4.
All right. Well, the audience agrees with us. It's going to be straight 4s for Mimi. Big drop from 6 to 4 this week. Let's finish it off here with Red. Melissa, how do you feel about Red?
I'm giving Red a 2 because Red almost like went home this week, or like went on the block this week as a back door. I feel like people are very suspicious of him. They don't really want to work with him. And not only that, like his plans with Cameron are just like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. The idea that like Matt's gonna like be their little soldier who targets his own people. Like, I don't know. The whole thing is just ridiculous. So for me, I'm giving him a 2. Did I say 3?
No, you said 2.
I said 2.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I was like, did I mess this up? It's a 2.
You know, like I started with a 3 for him, but I'm like, you know, you're right though. He really isn't doing that much better than the 2s that I gave out with Hisam and Cameron. So yeah, I think that I'm gonna have to agree with the 2. I haven't really seen him do anything good in this game. You know, he started late by the fact of being like, oh, I don't want these too early to talk game. And now everybody's talking game, and like he's been surpassed. Like he's just not part of anybody's end game that I could, maybe Corey's, but like he's just doing something different. Him and Cameron are playing some different game. I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem like the game that we're watching on most of the feeds. So I'm not sure what he's doing. I feel like a lot of people will put him on the block and not feel bad about it. And that's not a really great place to be. So yeah, I agree with the 2 for me as well.
All right. The audience a little higher on Red. They gave him a 3.
Loved him. Those diary rooms.
Yeah, there you go.
Just loves him. They think he's so funny.
It's not in the doorknob.
They love it.
I agree with you too, though. I think Red is playing abysmally. I mean, everything about this week should have been just screaming red flag, and he has been like, it's chill, it's fine. The fact that he thinks he can pull in Matt, and that he talked to Matt and named the entire group of people he wants to try to start working with to Matt, while telling Matt to go after his own allies, is just so absurd. I mean, it's really, really bad gameplay. And he is by far the biggest target heading into next week. It's really not looking good. And yeah, he very nearly went out. Multiple people from different sides of the house, both spontaneously and individually, separately, came up with the idea to take him out over Hisam this week. Like, it's absurd how poorly he's playing. He went up to Jag today and was like, listen, I read lips and I saw you saying my name and I just want to make sure we're still chill. And Jag was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I probably was saying your name, but like, it's probably fine, right? And Red went away from that conversation like, all right, smooth that over. I'm good. He's just not good at this. So yeah, there we go. A 2 for Red. And that's the Stockwatch. That's
all right.
That's
now,
what we have.
Preemptively, I just want to say that I made a mistake once again, because I forgot. Okay, so like I made a small buy, and then I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna come back and buy Corey. Like, instead, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of Corey because I think Corey's doing really well. I think he'll go up. Then I forgot to buy Corey and stuck with my Mimi accidentally, but this was not my intention. So my intention was to buy Corey and go way up. And instead I bought Mimi, or I kept my Mimi and went way down. And then I have like a couple blue thrown in there, and it's just all bad.
Yeah, looking at it here.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's like all my money is gone. I don't even know what to do now. I think I just need to start over. I need to start over under a new account identity and just like go from there.
It's so expensive though now.
Oh, it's so bad.
You have maintained your position at the bottom of the Melissas.
As the worst Melissa. Yep.
Yeah.
I might be okay. I might have gone up a little bit.
Oh, so sad.
Chantele was in on Suri and Izzy, looks like.
Oh, I thought I moved it over to Felicia. No, I didn't. Oh shit.
I mean, I think
a couple
Suri was a better buy than Felicia. So
No, I think I had I had extra money. I just left my money on Suri, and then the extra money I dispersed.
Oh, okay. Well, you still you made some money.
A little bit.
But did go down in the rankings because the
That was my
Corey
fault.
buyers went way up.
That could have been me.
By the way, yes, there are some bugs in the system, especially when things first get updated. I do apologize, but those
Actually, I think that mine was a bug. Like, I think that must have been what it was. It was just a bug. And actually, I did buy. It was just a glitch. I did buy Corey. I'm the best of the Melissas.
I'm the best of the Chantels. So.
I'm putting that in. I'm putting that out there in the official Roundtable record. That actually, I'm doing really well in Stockwatch. So yeah, that's what's happening.
All right. Well, I'm going to go on record and say I don't think Corey's the best buy for this. I don't think he should have been the best buy for this week.
Right.
I think his, especially given what I'm listening from the feeds right now, it's I feel better about my rating than theirs.
Who do you think is the best buy, or who do you think who was the best buy this week?
It was Corey.
Oh, it was Corey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Corey made the most money, but given his current position in the game, I'm not sure that I would personally concur.
So our rankings are already dated.
Yeah. Hey, but we're not watching the feeds right now. We don't know. That will go into our next week's roundtable.
It's at 10:05.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you this week. Anything else that you would like to bring up, Melissa?
Nope. Just, excited to see what's going to happen. I just feel like it's not going to be an easy, okay, well, Hisam's the target. Let's just end it there. I feel like there's going to be some sort of flip-floppiness. We'll see. I don't know if anything will change. I bet Hisam will still probably go out. But, it'll be fun feeds possibly. I don't want, let's put it this way, I don't want it to just be okay, Hisam's the target. Everyone just chill out and we'll relax for 2 days. I would like some more fun feeds, please.
More flip-flops.
All right, Chantele, any final thoughts?
Well, one thing obviously I'm really enjoying watching Suri on the feeds and just how it's so messy. And one thing that she did say, and I think it was within this last week, is that she's like, there's never going to be a dull week. And I'm thinking that maybe she is intentionally making things interesting because she don't say she could handle it. She's got a good grip on the game, and she's like, you know what? Let's just make it messy. Let's make these feeds fun. So I'm gonna also put in she's intentionally being messy for our benefit. So I'm also gonna put that out there.
I actually do get a lot of people that are like, Terrence, stop being so dumb thinking that there's an actual flip happening. Obviously, Suri was instructed by the producers to make good TV. How can you not see this, dummy?
I do not believe that.
Okay, sure.
No.
Well, I mean, they could have said save Hisam, it's good feeds, maybe, but
no,
I don't.
Producers don't care enough about it. Yeah, they're gonna be literally do whatever.
Well, she could intentionally making it messy just for her own enjoyment.
Well, I also don't believe in that one, but at least it's more reasonable than the conspiracy theory. All right. Well, that is what we have for you this week. I will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today or happened today and will continue to happen today on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. Tomorrow night will be our veto episode, and I can only imagine what that episode could be because it could be amazing. But I'm expecting lots of chicken costume and competition and
Goop,
probably some
more
making out.
Slimy.
So
you think they're gonna put that on?
Oh, they're gonna make out on the show, of course. Are you kidding me?
Are they gonna have the swell in the music to
The question is, are they gonna show the full scene where he starts it by saying, I had a dream last night. It was, I don't know what it was about it, but it was really realistic. I thought it was real for a while, and then keeps talking about it for another 15 minutes before something finally happens.
No, I mean,
Do you think they'll show that whole thing?
No.
No?
I
Why not?
don't
It grows
think it-
romantic.
I mean, if that maybe with the music behind it, and like, maybe, oh my god, I'm gonna cringe so bad.
It's bad. I don't like it.
All right. Well, either way, I'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, to be watching the episode live with everyone tonight. I put up a prediction yesterday. Will Jared tell Blue the secret about Sari before the roundtable starts? He did not. But hey, maybe I'll put another one up. Will he tell her the secret before tomorrow night's episode starts? If you want to head over there and make your prediction after this podcast
Do you
ends.
think this?
Oh, I think he's close.
He wants to, and now that they're kissing, he's gonna do it.
But but people are saying that maybe this was his game in the real world, is being like, yeah, do you know who my mom is? And so he doesn't have
Yeah, he's like,
that.
I don't know how to have game without that.
Think about the post-shower glow and the kinds of conversations that might occur, you know, if you catch my drift.
I don't like it. I don't like it, but I do want him to
come
tell
get
her.
your son. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, see, I want him to tell her because I want Sari to be like, not cool. We're not. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't think she'll like get Jared evicted or anything.
She'll get Blue evicted.
But I think she'll rein him in. Like, I think she's giving him some loose leash. And I think the second she finds out that he's revealed that, that's over. Tight leash.
Yeah. Well, check out all of what we'll see tomorrow night as I watch live on Twitch, and then we'll be here to recap what goes down on the podcast. You can also check out the streams I've been doing, watching the feeds over on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran, and yeah, that's about it. Chantele, what do you got going on?
You know, the Challenge USA twice a week. We'll be doing some power rankings next week for the last 2 weeks of episodes, which is really fun. I really enjoyed the Challenge USA season 2, and so come over to my YouTube channel, Reality Realness, with 3 S's, and we can do some live streams, recaps of each episode. Or you can find me at ShanFriendFriend on Instagram, and I have all my socials there.
All right. Well, of course, you can find Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 A's at the end. That's what we have for you. Thank you all so much for joining us this week, and we will see all of you next time.